In Raichur's Jagira Venkatapura village, signs of drought are everywhere. In 2023, this village with a population of nearly 3,000 was declared drought hit by the Karnataka government. Farming is a challenge in the semi-arid region in North Karnataka. For many of the residents here, the MNREGA or Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act is an option to supplement their wages and is often a critical lifeline. The Act guarantees 100 days of paid work in manual, unskilled jobs to households and individuals. In a drought, the scheme extends this to 50 additional days of work apart from the guaranteed 100. Not just Raichur, adjoining districts like Ballari and Vijayanagara were also hit by the drought.
ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳಿವಿ ಸರ್, ಬಟ್ ನಮಗೇನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ. ನಮಗೆ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಐತೆ ಸರ್, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ಬರಗಾಲ ಬಂದದ್ದು, ಬರಗಾಲ ಘೋಷಣೆ ಆಗೈತಾ.
ಈ ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೂ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 60 ಆಳು ಆಗಿದೆ ಸರ್. ಅಂದರೆ ನಾನು ನಮ್ಮ ತಮ್ಮ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ ಸರ್, ಇಬ್ಬರು ದುಡಿತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಹಂಗಾಗಿ 30 ಆಳು ಆಗಿದೆ. ಇನ್ನೂ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಆಳು ಕೊಡ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್. ಈಗ 3 ತಿಂಗಳಾದ್ರೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೆಲಸನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಪೇಮೆಂಟೂ ಇಲ್ಲ.
Like you all just saw, houses are locked here, and this is not the case of just one house over here. A lot of houses are locked because people have left. Lanes are empty, people have migrated to other cities looking for work, and this is because they haven't been given 50 additional days of work under MNREGA, because they are all very dependent on the work under the scheme. A cursory look at the government data for MNREGA in Karnataka shows that there is a constant demand for work across households and individuals. What explains the contradiction between the government data and people migrating in search of work? We set out to look for answers. The Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act was built around the principle of the right to work. It was implemented across India on 2nd February 2006. Backed by the central government, the scheme makes an effort to alleviate the distress caused by rural unemployment. The scheme aims to provide beneficiaries with 100 days of guaranteed work within 15 days of registration and 5 kilometers from the place of their residence. The work undertaken as part of this scheme serves to build public assets and includes agricultural tasks, watershed and irrigation projects, and flood management initiatives, among others. The primary goal of this scheme is to reduce unemployment in rural areas, empower women, and curb migration from rural to urban areas. Several issues such as unavailability of work despite demand, delayed payments, and job card deletions are now defeating the very purpose of the scheme. In October 2023, Karnataka government issued an official notification declaring 216 taluks out of the total 236 as drought affected. 189 of these were declared severely drought hit and 27 other taluks were moderately drought hit. Jagira Venkatapura was one among severely affected regions. Residents in Jagira Venkatapura had hoped that MNREGA would come as a saving grace in these difficult times. But despite the state government's multiple requests to the Centre for additional 50 days of work, the mandate hasn't been passed yet.
ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇವಾಗ ಬರಗಾಲ ಐತೆ, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಉದ್ಯೋಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಇಲ್ಲೇ
45-year-old Gauramma has been a MNREGA beneficiary for 12 years. More than 90% job card holders in her village have completed their 100 days of work. With the end of the financial year close and with no sight of the additional 50 days, residents of Jagira Venkatapura have started to migrate in search of work, starting a cycle of rural distress that the scheme was meant to curb.
ಬರಗಾಲ ಅದ, ಇನ್ನೂ ಸಾಕಾಗೋಷ್ಟು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಸರ್. ಈಗ 50 ದಿನ ಬಿಡಬೇಕು. ಅವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಊರವ್ರು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಗೂಳೆ ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಇಲ್ಲೇ ದುಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಮ್ಮ ಗಂಡರು ನಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಈ ಇದು NREGA ನಮ್ಗೆ ಭಾಳ ಉಪಯೋಗ ರೀ. ನಾವೆಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಗಂಡರು ಒಂದಲ್ಲಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಒಂದಲ್ಲಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಊರವ್ರು ಒಂದಲ್ಲಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಯಾರು ಹೋಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಎಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಊರಿಗೇ ಉಪಯೋಗ ಸರ್ ಅದು.
Gauramma and her fellow villagers were among the lucky ones who managed to get work for 100 days, but this is where the next problem arises. Most of the residents here have not been paid yet. Persistent delay in payments is another glaring issue for MNREGA beneficiaries in the state. As of February 8, 2024, real-time government data reveals that 99.55% payments were generated within 15 days, but this is not what we heard through our journey. Many residents told us that they were still waiting for their dues, despite completing their tasks as far back as November 2023. Several beneficiaries have now gone unpaid for 3 to 4 months. Data obtained by DH at Gram Panchayat levels show that 98 to 100% payments were made within 15 days in districts like Raichur, Ballari and Vijayanagara. But we didn't encounter a single beneficiary who'd been paid within this time frame or paid at all during our investigation.
3 महीने हुए काम कर को पैसे भी नहीं आया यहाँ अभी बजट नहीं हुआ देने अभी डेर आते वैसा बोलते
ನಾವು ಉದ್ಯೋಗ ಖಾತ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ನಮಗೆ 4 ತಿಂಗಳಾದರೂ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ 4 ತಿಂಗಳಾದರೂ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ನಾವು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಜೀವನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಯಾರೇನು ಇದ್ದಂಥವ್ರಿಲ್ಲ, ಹೌದಾ? ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಗದ್ದೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇರೋಕೆ ಮನೇನೋ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆ ರೀತಿ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಈ ಥರ ಒಂದು ಉದ್ಯೋಗ ಖಾತ್ರಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಬಂದಿರೋದು ತುಂಬ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಾಗಿದೆ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಊರು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ವಲಸೆ ಹೋಗೋವಂಥವರೆಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇದನ್ನ ದುಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಜೀವನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇವರು 4 ತಿಂಗಳಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಹೊಟ್ಟೆಗೆ ಏನು ತಿನ್ನಬೇಕು?
ಈಗ ನರೇಗಾ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ ಕೂಲಿಕಾರರಿಗೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಲೇ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಕಾರಣ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅಂದರೆ, ಆದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಗ್ರಾಮ ಪಂಚಾಯತಿಯಿಂದನೇ 8 ದಿನದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು TAಗಳು ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಆದರೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಅಲೋಕೇಶನ್ ಏನೋ ಸಮ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಡಿಲೇ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಆದರೆ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗೇ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
ಡಿಲೇ ನಮ್ಮಿಂದ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿ ಡಿಲೇ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಫಂಡ್ ನಿಧಿ ಇರಲಾರ್ದ ಕಾರಣ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇದಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು.
I think the delays for the wage payments in MNREGA is mainly because of the lack of financial planning by the central government. If you notice, the previous budget had close to around 60,000 crores allocated for it, which got enhanced to 72,000 crores in spite of the previous budget of 22-23 being 75,000 crores. First of all, they cut it by 15,000 and then they're trying to enhance it by 13,000 crores. It's quite natural that bad planning, financial planning and allocation of mandates at the grassroots level has affected people. So as of now, while we speak, I think we have more than 702 crores pending. So it's extremely bad planning and complete mismanagement by the central government.
According to the provisions of the Act, payments for completed work should be settled within a reasonable time frame, typically within 15 days of the work's completion. The payment process involves the state government submitting an electronic invoice to the centre within 8 days of work completion. This invoice includes details such as the work performed by beneficiaries, payment amounts, and job card numbers, among other information. Following this, the central government has 7 days to process these electronic invoices.
And all the central government has to do is press a button to transfer the money from the union government's account to the individual worker's account. Now, what we routinely observe, and this is not just this year, but we have been raising this matter and workers have been talking about this, is that there are many times when they wait for months and they still don't get paid for the work that they completed. And the primary responsibility for this is because the union government does not have sufficient funds to pay the workers. And this has also been acknowledged by the Ministry of Finance in a memorandum where they clearly said that the reasons for delays in payments are because of lack of sufficient funds that the union government has allocated for this.
Rajendran Narayanan is the co-founder of LipTech India, which has produced several research papers on MNREGA over the years, some of which have also been cited by the Ministry of Rural Development. In a report that he co-authored for People's Action for Employment Guarantee Organization, he suggests that the scheme would require an allocation of about 2.72 lakh crore in 2023-24 for the scheme to run robustly. But the allocation towards MNREGA was reduced. Eventually, 60,000 crore was budgeted for the same financial year. This is less than half of what's required and a 17.80% reduction from the previous financial year's allocation of 73,000 crore.
As a percentage of the GDP, this year the allocation has been 0.198%. And as per original estimates by even World Bank researchers, they had said for NREGA to run robustly and correctly, you need to allocate about 1.6% of the GDP. So where is 1.6% and where is 0.198%?
The inadequate allocation of funds has had a direct impact on the amount of work generated on the ground. Data reveals that households under the MNREGA scheme in Karnataka were able to avail work on an average of only 43 days out of the guaranteed 100 days in the 2023-24 period. This figure closely mirrors the average of 42 days of work received by households in the previous year, 2022-23. Additionally, around 35,000 households were able to finish 100 days of guaranteed work out of the 2 million or more households that availed work. In adjoining districts like Vijayanagara and Ballari, women have taken to chili picking or ventured to neighbouring districts to work in sugarcane fields. Meanwhile, men have migrated to other cities in search of work. None of these jobs pay as much as MNREGA's daily wage. Added to this is the cost of commuting to work, a further depletion in their earnings. The daily wage rate of MNREGA in Karnataka is 316 rupees currently, equal for both men and women. The wage rate varies across states in the country. Haryana receives the highest with 357 rupees for 1 day of work, and Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh at 221 rupees pay the lowest. These rates are evaluated regularly. Karnataka received a 2.27% hike in 2023-24. Among the advantages of the MNREGA is that beneficiaries are compensated with additional wages if the work assigned to them lies beyond the 5-kilometer radius of their residence. The government is also mandated to pay a daily unemployment allowance if work is not allotted within 15 days of registration. We did not meet any individuals who had benefited from these policies during our travel. For most, the main struggle was to find work. Government data indicates that over 3 million households sought work in 2023-24 in Karnataka, with close to 2.9 million successfully securing work. While these figures may seem consistent with the demand for work in the previous years, the reality on the ground paints a different picture.
ಈಗ 4 ವರ್ಷ ಆಯಿತು ರೀ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೆಲಸ ಈಗ ಕೂಲಿಕಾರ ಕೆಲಸದ ಬುಕ್ಕ ಕೊಟ್ಟು 4 ವರ್ಷಲಿದ್ದ ಒಂದು ದಿನನೂ ನಾವು ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ನಮಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಾರೆ. ಪಂಚಾಯತ್ಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಪಂಚಾಯತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ. ನಿಮ್ದು ಓಕೆ ಆಗಿದೆಯಮ್ಮ ಅಂತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ರಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ರಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆಗೂ ಹೋಗಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಒಂದು ಹತ್ರನೂ ನಮಗೆ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅವರು.
This is Neelamma's house in Vijayanagara district's Hosamalapannagudi village. Her husband and 2 children strive to make ends meet. Neelamma's daughter aspired to be a nurse, but found her dreams shattered when her parents failed to find work under MNREGA.
ಈ ಬಡತನದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಒಬ್ಬರಾರ ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆ ದುಡಿಮೆ ಇತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಓದಿಸ್ಬೋದು, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಕೂಲಿಗೆ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೋದು. ಈಗ ದುಡಿಯೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಮನೇಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇದ್ದಿದ್ರೆ ಊಟ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಲ್ಗಾನ ಅಂತಂದೇಳಿ ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಇದು ಕೆಲಸ ಕೊಡಲಿಲ್ಲ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡೋಣ ಸರ್?
Despite having a job card, Neelamma has been making rounds to the Panchayat office for 4 years. She is always told to come later. Neelamma's daughter has since dropped out of school and has started to supplement the family's income by taking on orders for tailoring.
ಈಗ ಅವಳಿಗೆ ದುಡ್ಡು ಇಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಬಿಡಿಸಿ ಈಗ ಟೈಲರ್ ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ಕಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ ಸರ್. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಸರ್, ಯಾರು ಮಾಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಬರ್ತೈತಮ್ಮ ನಾಳೆ ಬರ್ತೈತಮ್ಮ ಅಂತಾರೆ. ಈ ಬಂದದ್ದು ಯಾರು ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮದು ಬಡವ ಇವ್ರದ್ದೇನು ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಹೇಳೋದು ಅಂತಂದೇಳಿ ಬಿಸಾಕಿ ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ ಮೂಲೆಗೆ. ನಮ್ದೇನು ಕೇರ್ ಮಾಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಯಾರು ಕೇರ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ.
The unavailability of work, delayed payments, and the absence of the additional 50 days of work barely scratch the surface of the problems of this scheme. It looks good on paper, but falls apart in its implementation. Digitisation, meant to streamline the process, has instead created more problems. In Jagarkal village in Raichur, we met several people who are struggling with the complications due to digitization. In 2024, all beneficiaries under MNREGA are to receive their wages through an Aadhaar-based payment system or ABPS. This method uses the 12-digit Aadhaar number as the main financial address to disperse payments.
So there are two modes of payment. One is called the account-based system. The account-based system is simple like your NEFT payments. So in an account-based system, if the union government has to transfer the money to a worker's account, all they need to know is the worker's name, their bank account number and the IFSC code of the bank branch in which they hold an account. And the union government has to just transfer using these three. So these are like standard NEFT payments like any of us do when we do bank transfers. The other mode of payment is called the Aadhaar-based payment system, which is what the union government has made mandatory now. Now in Aadhaar-based payment system, there are three things, at least minimally three things for the union government to make sure it happens. One is that the Aadhaar number of the worker has to be seeded with the job card of the worker. When we say seeded, what that means is there has to be a complete match between what is there in the Aadhaar card and what is there in the job card. So the demographic details like the name, the spelling of the name, the gender and the age, all of that has to match. The second thing that needs to happen is the bank account number of the worker has to be linked to her Aadhaar number. And the third thing that needs to happen is that the bank branch itself has to be linked to has to be mapped. There's a software mapping that connects the bank branch through its institutional identification number with the National Payments Corporation of India. Now, National Payments Corporation of India, think of it as a clearinghouse of all the Aadhaar-based payments. So all these three have to match perfectly for an Aadhaar-based payment to happen. So when all these things are perfect, then what the union government does is it will transfer the money to the Aadhaar number of the individual. So the Aadhaar number of the individual becomes a financial address. Whichever bank account the Aadhaar number of the individual was linked last, and assuming all the mapping with the software mapping between the bank branch and the NPCI is fine, assuming the job card and the Aadhaar card of the individual has perfect matching, under those conditions, then the last linked Aadhaar account will get the money to which the central government is transferring money.
The introduction of ABPS has led to instances where beneficiaries who are alive and more than willing to roll up their sleeves have found their job cards deleted. Activists allege that there is pressure to achieve 100% ABPS eligible job cards as per the government's mandate, and in many cases job cards that couldn't be authenticated were deleted. While the government argues that ABPS implementation will expedite payments and minimize rejections, beneficiaries view it as the weaponization of technology, fearing the loss of their rightful access to work opportunities.
ನಮ್ಗೆ ಡಿಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ನಾವು ಹೋಗಿ ಎದಕ್ಕಪ್ಪ ನಮಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ನೀನು, ಎದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ನೀನು, ನಮ್ದು ಏನು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆದಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಮ್ಮ ನಿಂದು ಹೆಸರು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆದ, ನಿಂದು ಗಂಡಂದು ಆ ರೀತಿ ಐತೆ, ನಂದು ಈ ರೀತಿ ಐತಿ ನಿಂದು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ನಿನಗೆ, ಅದು ಡಿಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಹೇಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ ರೀ ಅವರು.
ಸರ್ ನಮ್ಮದು ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ ಶ್ರೀದೇವಿ ಅಂತ ಐತೆ ಸರ್, ಆಧಾರ್ ಕಾರ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ಶ್ರೀದೇವಿ ಕರೆಡ್ಡಿ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಿರೋದು ಸರ್, ಜಾಬ್ ಕಾರ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀ ಶ್ರೀದೇವಿ ಐತೆ ಸರ್. ಅದ್ರ ಸಲುವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ದು ಆಧಾರ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಜಾಬ್ ಕಾರ್ಡಿಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಕೊಡ್ತಾಯಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಅದ್ರ ಸಲುವಾಗಿ ದಿನ ಪಂಚಾಯತಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ದು ಆಧಾರ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ ಶ್ರೀದೇವಿ ಕರೆಡ್ಡಿ ಐತೆ, ಜಾಬ್ ಕಾರ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀ ಶ್ರೀದೇವಿ ಐತೆ, ಅದ್ರ ಸಲುವಾಗಿ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಮು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಕತ್ತಾರೆ. ಹೋದಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಲೇ ಹೇಳಕತ್ತಾರೆ. ಹೋಗಿ ಕೇಳ್ದಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಆದರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಧಾರ ಸಲ ಸರ್ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮದು ಹೆಸ್ರಿಗೆ ತೆಗೆದಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಾರೆ ಸರ್.
Gramina Kuli Karmikara Sangatane or GRAKUS, a community-based organization that focuses on the effective implementation of MNREGA, deals with several cases where this technology has made it harder for people to access their right to work.
ಈ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ತಂದುಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅದು ಆಫೀಸಿಯಲ್ಲಾಗಿ ಅವ್ರ ಲೆವೆಲಲ್ಲೇ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿಗಳು ತಂದುಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಆದರೆ ಜನರಲ್ ಲೆವೆಲಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ನೋಡಿದರೆ ಹಳ್ಳಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿದ್ರೆ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ಯಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಈ ಥರ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಫಾರ್ಮ್ 6 ಕೊಟ್ಟಾದಮೇಲೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಸೀವ್ಡ್ ಬರ್ಬೇಕು. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಸೀವ್ಡ್ ಬರ್ತಾಯಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಬರೀ ಕೈಲಿಂದ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ಯಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ ಥರ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿಗಳು ತಂದಿದ್ರೆ ಜನರಿಗೂ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಹೊರತು ಈ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳ ಲೆವೆಲ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಲೆವೆಲಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಆಗೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಏನೂ ಉಪಯೋಗ ಆಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಜನರಿಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ಜನ ಉದ್ಯೋಗ ಖಾತ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದು ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರೇ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಆ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರೇ ಇವತ್ತು ಉದ್ಯೋಗ ಖಾತ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಲಾರದಂಥ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಸರ್ಕಾರ ತಂದಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ.
In August 2023, a working paper released by LipTech India revealed that there was hardly any difference between the previous account-based payment system and the new Aadhaar-based payment system.
What we've done is we've taken 3.2 crore wage transactions from the financial year 21-22, and what we observe is that there is statistically no significant difference in the time taken to pay workers, whether you're paying through ABPS or whether you're paying through account-based system. The second claim that the union government has made is that the rejection rates in Aadhaar-based payments are lower than the rejection rates in account-based payments. And again, we don't, in our analysis, we don't find any statistically significant difference between rejection rates in Aadhaar-based payments and rejection rates in account-based payments. One thing to remember here is the recent Press Information Bureau report, the press release by the Ministry of Rural Development, incorrectly quotes the paper that LipTech India has written, where they have cited that ABPS is endorsed by LipTech India, but our findings and our conclusion are actually just the opposite of what the ministry's press release says.
In several taluks across the state, the government authorities and MNREGA cell remain unaware of the discrepancies.
ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, ನನಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ದುಡ್ಡು ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಅವ್ರು ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ರೈಸ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಆಧಾರ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಯಾವುದೇ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಇದೇ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಧಾರ್ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಭಾಳ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ಜಾಬ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಡಿಲೀಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. NPCA ಇಂದ, ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಿಂದ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ KYC ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾಯಿತು. ಅದು ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಕೋಆಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಜಾಬ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಡಿಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಮತ್ತು ನಾವು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೊಸದಾಗಿ ಜಾಬ್ ಕಾರ್ಡು ರೆಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತೀವಿ.
The state of affairs looks bleak in the rest of the country as well. For instance, the union government stopped funding the scheme in West Bengal since March 9, 2022, based on allegations of corruption in the implementation process. In January this year, as many as 100 lawyers from across India have written to the Ministry of Rural Development, expressing concern over the centre's incorrect and heavily punitive decision to withhold the MNREGA funds for West Bengal and have urged them to pay the pending dues.
So it's a mix. Generally, southern states are better off than the north because their banking infrastructure, states with better banking infrastructure are better off. But states like Maharashtra are very bad, states like Jharkhand are very bad, the northeast states are very bad. Some states have said that they've managed to overcome the issue, but the overcoming of that issue does not lead to some great efficiency. It's just something that you've been set out to do. There was no state that was not complaining about it. And we have had a consultation where even state commissioners came and they were told you have to do this by such and such date. Again, the minister said, okay, we will not punish workers, we will punish the states. But if you punish the states, what are the states going to do? They're going to punish the workers. How will they do that? They will cut their job cards of those who they cannot do. And there is a question between the center and the states. Like West Bengal has not been paid, not a single worker has been paid for 2 years. 2 years, that is a crime against humanity. There's a 1 crore population of workers in NREGA. They have not got work. But worse than that is those who have worked have not been paid. And this whole argument and discussion carries on. This is not a question of politics between one party and another. This is a question of politics of labor, politics of workers, politics of the poorest of the poor. You cannot do this with them.
At the national level, beneficiaries were able to secure work for an average of 48.3 days during the 2023-24 period out of the 100 guaranteed days. There's no denying the crucial role MNREGA has played in providing a safety net, especially in COVID years. However, it's essential to address the underlying issues that have left workers dissatisfied and struggling to make a living. For more stories like this, please like, share and subscribe to Deccan Herald. We value your feedback. Let us know in the comments below if you found our coverage informative and what other topics you'd like us to explore. With camera person Karthik Govardhan, Rishika Kashyap for Deccan Herald.